Well, welcome back, Texas Rugby fans. We're so glad you could join us once again. It is another month. We're a week behind because of, well, if you've been paying attention to the news, Texas got slammed with a winter storm from here in Austin all the way over to Grant in Houston and Rick in Dallas. Man, what an insane couple weeks it's been. So we're a week behind what we'd normally be. Usually this is the February episode as we're doing it the first week of March, but here we are. Texas Rugby Monthly. Welcome back, guys.
Well, Dustin, we're no different than Santa Ana. We're no different than Santa Ana when he crossed the Rio Grande to attack Texas. A blue norther hit him and put him 2 weeks behind schedule.
leave it to Grant to bring on Texas history 101 to the rugby podcast. Cheers to that, sir. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
So how are things going, guys?
I will
How'd
say,
y'all fare?
I think it was very fortunate that I think most of us fared pretty well. There's still a few people up here struggling with access to water, to fresh water, at least from their house, without having to go buy bottled water. But in general, electricity came back for a lot of people within a week. And I was lucky enough not to really have any problems at all. We had a couple of frozen pipes, but nothing major. And
no busts or anything?
Happy. And, not wearing a mask anymore. Cheers. Oh, I'll still be wearing a mask.
Yeah, right. Still be wearing a mask for a while.
One of the worst things about Houston is the building codes down here. And you have all these first single-story buildings that have galvanized pipes insulated in their attics. Oh. And we were one of them. We run a house, and it busted. They finally came Sunday night. That was 13 days or 12 days for us, and replaced 30 feet of pipe in the attic.
Oh my goodness!
Wow,
yeah. That is
And that's before the wall and wood and
everything. Holy crap!
Yeah. So I mean, when the power goes out during a freeze, of course the house can't be heated, so you can't keep the attic at least warm enough to keep pipes from freezing in the attic. We did everything we were supposed to do, protecting our pipes outside, but had no clue that we had galvanized pipes in the attic.
Oh my gosh!
So yeah, if you buy a house in Texas, before you buy, check on the piping. If it's galvanized piping, you can expect that you're going to have busted pipes during a freeze.
Yeah, that's for sure. Being from one of the northern states, Midwest states, used to the cold, and so we were lucky enough we didn't have any, we were on actually the same power grid as Del Seaton over here, downtown Austin, so we definitely did not lose any power. We got lucky, did our part. We did have boil water warnings and stuff, that we boiled water for friends and everything, but we do know there are families around Texas that rugby families around Texas that were impacted. Grant, you are one of them, my friend. But we'll talk more about that because there's something cool on the horizon that we're trying to do here at Texas Rugby Monthly.
Yep.
Enough of winter weather and all that shit. Let's get into rugby, man. It's been forever.
You talk about Houston rugby, and we'll get that out of the way first. I want to welcome to Houston Kellen Gordon, two-time MLR champion with the Seattle champion prop with the Seattle Seawolves. He and his family have had to move to Houston to his wife underwent endoscopic surgery not too long ago at Texas Children's Hospital, and they've had to stay here. They're gonna have to stay here through till when the baby gets out of NICU.
Okay.
And so there are some things that are going on there, and my wife has started a a food train account for them.
Oh, awesome! Like a meal train, yeah.
Meal train account for them. Excuse me. And if people want to contribute to Kellen and his family, they can visit my Facebook page.
We'll put it down here in the bottom.
Okay, I'll get that.
That way we can get that link out there because that's awesome.
Yeah, and so we've already, people already got them some DoorDash cards and stuff, and they know that there's a bit of a network here in Houston if they need help with some stuff. And hopefully we'll see Kellen out to practice with RHTX because he wants to stay in shape this year and keep in rugby shape. And we've got some matches scheduled now for the RHTXs. So we will soon be playing quite a bit of matches.
I hear about that. Any matches you can give up at this point, or are they still on the hush hush?
I can talk about all the rugby HTX matches, man.
I heard of one match that's very very interesting to some people.
Well, you mean the Colorado crossover match?
That's the exact one I'm talking about.
That's the exact one you're talking about?
Exact one I'm talking about.
Yeah, we've got a match scheduled with Glendale to come down here and play us at Aviva.
Nice.
Give me a second, I'll pull that stuff up. Now, while I'm waiting on that, one of the things I can talk about is we've had 3 signings from the Dallas Jackals since we last talked. We talked about Bronson Tellis last time, but that wasn't official at the time.
You were hoping for him.
Well, no, his mom had told me that it was there. Annie, got to give Annie props. I want to give a shout out to Annie Tellis. She definitely is following us and Texas Rugby Monthly, listening to our podcast and watching us on YouTube.
Our beautiful
so
faces.
Annie, thank you for doing that. Now, if you've ever been to a high school game where Annie is at, you know who the number one fan in the stands is, and it's Annie Tellis. So it's great stuff to see from her, and that she's on here. Also want to give a shout out to the local referees who are listening in. I've had Mark Eugen, who formerly a lockout of the Woodlands, has been refereeing for quite a while now, and Ozzie B, who is also a reserve deputy sheriff down in Fort Bend County and has been doing double duty with COVID and the freeze on that result. So Ozzie's been listening in as well. So I want to give a shout out to them. So as well as Bronson, we've also got Gino Hun. Did I say that name right, Rick?
Gino or
Junio?
Junio
Hun. So I never get it right. So Junio. So Junio's been signed on as a scrum half, and Cody O'Neill has been signed on as well from the Jackals. Yeah. There's going to be one more signing coming out, I think, and I can't announce it right now, but we do have one more signing left.
Nice.
Oh, and Junio, formerly a Dallas Harlequin as well.
There you go. Rick Collins sporting the Dallas Harlequins 50th anniversary jerseys right now. You can get them online at dallasharlequins.com.
Also, TRU 50th anniversary.
It is. Yeah, I saw that. Good stuff.
So the RHTX, our first match is actually not going to be a match. We've got a bunch of players who want to go up to the Woodlands for the TENS tournament that's happening up there. And it's $10 a head, so they're going to send them up there and do a self-team and play in the TENS tournament.
All right.
So, yeah, they're kind of excited about that. That's on the 13th of March. And then on the 20th of March, the Dallas Reds are coming down and playing us prior to the Cats match against the Seawolves. And then we tentatively have a match, I think, against the Dallas Harlequins on the 27th. I haven't seen that. I've seen that penciled in, but not confirmed. And then we play the Huns and the Reds, the Blacks, and some others going through to April and May.
And all of these games happen because of one important thing that happened with the TRU just last week.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, I was glad we held off actually because we just found out we're in 4+ now.
Whatever that means.
And
I don't know these numbers and codes anymore.
Having just kind of read the notes, we're basically in a free to play. You've got to follow protocols, but you can play a 15s match now.
Yeah.
You can have that many players playing together.
Do they have to be
There's still
tested
some
ahead of
protocols
time?
involved,
Do we know about whether or not people have to be tested ahead of time?
No,
No.
there's a waiver that must be signed,
Gotcha.
but outside that, it's free play, and they basically said it's up to the team. So if the Dallas Harlequins want to say each one of our players needs to be tested and show up with a form showing that they were tested before match day, that's up to them.
It's up to the team.
And the Reds wouldn't have to follow that. It's totally up to the teams how they want to follow those specific protocols.
And Houston also has a lot of COVID vaccines coming in, and vaccines
must be nice.
I think they're doling out right now like 12,000 a day.
Nice.
And the added NRG, it's a giant center, and instead of the barbecue cook-off and the rodeo, they've decided to have a vaccination rodeo this year, basically.
That sounds awesome. I know that Coda's running tests right now to do 10,000 a day, 50,000 a week. So I said, "Come on, AGs, let's get on it, and let's do a vaccination in a match, man."
Yeah, and that might be something that teams can do is offer that as a benefit.
I think it's a great idea.
Please.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's what's happening in Houston. So we are hearing from other teams in Houston that they're scheduling matches within their division. A lot of this is just going to be friendlies. All of our matches against the TRU teams we're playing are friendlies. And so, I mean, we're just getting ready to have a good season, and should be playing Atlanta 404 when we go to New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And the Rugby HTX team will travel to New Orleans as well as a team. So when the Cats go to New Orleans to play NOLA, we'll be traveling as well. And we'll be playing Atlanta 404. So, some good things happening. We're starting to see games between teams, academy teams in the league. And while this is nothing official, we hope that we are able to take some notes, do best practices, and get this going forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good stuff, man. Hey, man, progress, right? We're just slowly moving towards.
We're almost there. I think we're 2 weeks.
We're 2 weeks
for matches.
For matches. That's really
just
exciting.
over 2 weeks. Really exciting.
Really. Well, we're actually 3 days from matches.
Technically.
Oh well.
By the way, this podcast is recorded on Wednesday, I don't know the date anymore.
Whatever that is. Yeah.
Whatever day. March 3rd, Wednesday recording.
We also know that while the SaberCats match this weekend will be filmed, it won't be broadcast.
Oh, come on! They're not having you on the horn.
No, they're doing a test broadcast here.
Okay.
Because they've got a new group that's working together, a new set of groups that are working together to do a lot of the broadcast.
Yeah.
And in the Western region, with the exception of the games of the week, all the games will be broadcast and called out of the studios in Austin.
Yeah, L2 Productions, right?
Yep.
Shout out to Scott over at L2 Productions. I do know Scott. Great guy.
Sounds like we're going to be hearing a lot of Mark Stabina and Kit McConico this year.
And Lincoln Rose too.
Oh, I didn't know Lincoln was in on that as well.
Lincoln is on that. I haven't got 100% confirmation, but apparently Lincoln may be the voice of the AGs for those non-nationally televised matches and matches that don't overlap with his work at ESPN. This is my caveat.
Subtitles at the bottom.
No, but I know Lincoln's a big fan of the show. He listens all the time. We love Lincoln. He's a good guy. We're gonna maybe have him on here sometime soon. But I do know that he was talking about them doing production stuff, and I know that Kit's been doing games for a while, at least for Austin. I know he's done stuff around the league. So it's
so Kit and I first worked together with T5 RDG in, I want to say 2012 or 2013, and it may have been later than that, but I've been working with Kit McConico for years now, and I got to say, man, that guy is a professional par none.
For sure.
Yeah.
Before we jump over to Dallas and Rick stuff, I can tell you, like, the first time I was ever on a Major League Rugby broadcast was at halftime and it was with Kit McConico. And for some reason, they lost every single piece of information about me. And in 30 seconds, I told him who I was and what was going on. Like, supporters group and the podcast had just started and all this stuff. And Kit was like, "No problem, we got this." And we just shot the shit for like 5 minutes. But total professional. Kit's a great guy. Look forward to hearing him. He and Lincoln had called the only Texas Cup match so far in the win for the AG. So there's that for Lincoln Rose too, and Kit McConico. I think Kit was on that match as well, if I remember correctly. I don't know. Anyway, fun Texas Rugby Monthly trivia for all of you who listen and watch and, and absolutely do not care.
Make sure you take notes. There will be a test after.
Take notes, kids. There's a test tomorrow. All right, that's all we got in Houston. Grant?
Yeah. For now, I mean, we'll have a lot more news coming out.
Next, yeah, have a lot more
next one.
So the Jackals. Obviously, the news that the Jackals aren't playing. We discussed that last episode, but obviously,
that was a heartbreaking episode.
Don't remind me, please. So, but Jackals players, we're still supporting them in the supporters group. I've announced every single player's new team. I've tagged, I think, every single one of the players that was announced for the Jackals is still a part of the group. Certainly a lot of the family members. So I'm trying to announce all the players via the group. Also make sure that we announce their birthdays, things like that, to try and keep people engaged. As far as the group, I know I'm trying hard. Best I can.
It's gonna be tough.
So with the draft results, now these aren't the actual draft results because they never released those, as far as I know. It was who the draftees were signed by.
Yeah.
So it could have been trades, or there could have been, I don't know what other agreements could have occurred. But Carlo Denison to San Diego, Connor, which there's a great video which I think we'll show here.
We'll show it at the break before we get to our guest
by our own Dustin. Gino one, as you mentioned, to Houston, Cody to Houston, Robbie to Rugby ATL, which I think is actually going to be
it's a great pickup.
And Ryan James to LA. A bunch of young players going to LA. In fact, I think they picked up in the free agency 2 or 3 other Campbell, I think, went out there. A couple other players to LA. So
Campbell Johnson actually announced that he was going to Glendale.
Really?
Oh, really? Oh, that's right. He's going to play in the XO. Yeah.
He played with the XOs against New Orleans last week.
Okay. So that's what
I do remember seeing that now.
I remember that now as well. But so the biggest news right now is that with TRU kind of lifting the sanctions against competitive matches, there's going to be Reds Division I matches, friendlies as far as I understand, with HTX, with Huns, with Blacks. The only thing is that the Harlequins have been missing from everybody's schedules. There's supposed to be news coming later this week about that. Grant, you just released something that I hadn't even heard, that there was potentially a match against HTX. So that's news to me.
Got him really excited.
But I think we're going to see friendlies and maybe some tournaments leading up to Sevens this summer. And then we're going to see full-blown rugby starting with Sevens this summer, based on everything I've heard with TRU.
Like I said, the Harlequins match is penciled in as tentative. We've got 2 home matches against the Reds, and then we travel to Dallas to play the Reds once. So,
yeah.
And then we've got home and away against the Huns and the Blacks that I know of, and then hosting XO and going to New Orleans for 404. So, yeah, and all of this, I mean, it's kind of like a mad arms race to get match schedules, right?
Oh, yeah. People are scrambling around to get something played.
And even there will be an Old Boys tournament that's hosted by Dwight and myself as part of ROT. That will occur in Dallas this year. We have not set a date for that. As soon as we do, I will also notify our fan share of that tournament. As I know, there's a lot of old boys who like to watch us or listen to us and are interested.
We're very popular with the plus 45 crowd.
The elderly crowd.
That's all right, man. At least we're popular with any crowd. I'll take that any day. What else you got, Rick? Anything else?
That is pretty much it from Dallas. We're just glad to get to some rugby. They've been doing touch sevens tournaments. I think weekdays and weekends. So at least to see some full contact rugby soon is exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting. Is someone okay in the background over there? There's screaming a bloody murder.
I think it's just a 4-year-old being murdered. I'll check kind of while you bring in our guest.
Yeah, well, we'll check on her here in a minute. So I guess you heard it right here live on Texas Rugby Monthly.
We've now become a true crime show.
I know, right? We've gone from rugby to crime in a heartbeat.
From history to rugby to crime.
Who done it?
Who done it? There you go.
All right,
Austin. Man, we haven't been doing anything.
No, you guys have been.
Holy crap!
Boring.
I'm gonna quickly go through signings because signings are important, and we've had some signings.
You don't even have to talk about signings yet. Talk about the director of athletic performance first.
Listen here, like you are always gaslighting me to get I'm getting to it. I'm saving that. That's part of it.
I didn't tell you it wasn't true. I told you that I want you to talk about that.
You got to build up to the good stuff.
Man,
you got to
build up
to it.
Listen, we were trying to. It's like the episode we were trying to talk about our locks, and I had to go talk about CEO the first minute, and there we were. Anyway, so signings, because technically the director head of performance is a signing. I mean, it's signed. Okay. He's a part of my list. But okay. I wanted to say so we've got Jake Turnbull has been signed with the AGs. Very exciting. He's actually going to be. He's on the podcast this week. So if you're listening and watching this, listen to the Awesome Rugby podcast. We're going to talk with Jake. Grant knows him well. Spent 2 years over in Houston. Went played at the DC Old Glory. Really excited to have him. He is USA eligible now. He's a heck of a player. I think he's got a ton of talent. He's going to be battling out the tight head prop spot with Mr. Mason Peterson over there. So that'll be kind of exciting to see what they do there. We have another tight head signing prop from Rugby 404 that is announced today. Today is the day that this podcast comes out on Friday, not the day that we record it, but an exclusive for the Austin Rugby podcast. We got to announce that Angel Torres from Rugby 404 is coming to play with the AGs, which is pretty exciting. He's a tight head prop, is also a hooker cover as well. So again, just building up that unbelievable depth in that front row and in the pack. And of course, also in the pack, I think another of the big signings that we didn't get to announce is Hugh Roach. Was actually announced the day after we recorded the last podcast. So Hugh, 50 Super Rugby caps with the Waratahs and played as the Melbourne Storm and then won a championship with the Crusaders. I mean, again, more depth at every position is exciting. One player that we have coming back from season 1 is Ned Hodgson. And so Ned can slot in at center or fullback. Ned's a heck of a player, Irish lad. Took some time off to do film and like acting and filmmaking. And ladies, if you're listening and you haven't seen Ned Hodgson, let his sultry eyes stare into your soul. I'm gonna tell you right now, between him and I just forgot about
Hassler.
And had Jeff. Yeah, I was like, Jeff, what's his last name? And Jeff Hassler, man, you've got like the Fabio and the boy band going on there. So may have to do some fun stuff with those guys too.
And then don't even get Roderick Waters starting to talk about himself.
Oh, Roderick he's got them locks.
the chiseled Adonis.
I like that. It's a good one. And then finally, a signing, an addition to the team, probably one of the biggest, I'll say it's one of the biggest coups in MLR rugby. Austin has signed as the head of physical performance for the Crusaders. He'll be the head of athletic performance, Simon Thomas. Can we talk about like how big, like, I think it went under the radar too much. Simon Thomas is an icon in New Zealand rugby for performance. What he did in the past 5 years, the Crusaders, you look at how they played as a team, just the fitness level, it's through the roof. And I'm excited. He's a cool cat. We're going to chat with him on the podcast, and I believe next week or so. But looking forward to seeing what Simon can do. He's already been working with the lads from New Zealand. He's officially in Austin, which is pretty exciting. So there you
That's
go.
always good
There you go,
news
Grant.
because you hear about the signings from overseas and you wonder if they're going to make it over in time.
Yeah, the good thing about Austin is they actually made sure this year that they got everybody's visas locked in and they were already like on a plane when they were getting ready to come over. Like that, I think that was good. It happens a lot of teams throughout the years. They haven't done it before.
It's not like teams didn't have enough time this year.
You have plenty of time to get people over here. The other big thing is I think Austin has just blown the doors off as far as community and and recognition, and as far as the sponsorship. So we announced that Ascension Seton, that they are going to be the front of the jersey sponsor. Big thing came out with them as an announcement. That's great to have a front of the jersey sponsor. Austin's never had one since we've been in since year one. So that's pretty exciting. We have partnership with the Austin Music Foundation that is helping out local. Austin's the live music capital of the world, and all these artists have been affected by COVID. So we're partnering with the Austin Music Foundation. The first match against Utah on the 20th at home, Paul Oakenfold. Like, if you're a fan of dance music and house music, which I am, Paul Oakenfold. Like, he's got great stuff.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but I recognize
but
the
name. Like, he's
a huge name.
It's a huge name in the world of music. Like, if you know any music, like, you should have heard him somewhere at some track at some point in your time. And if you didn't, you probably didn't realize it was him. So that's pretty big. The good thing about that, they've already donated like $15,000 to the AFM, and that's kind of a big thing for us too, to say that we're already supporting the local music. There's going to be stuff before and after matches. Every game will be a new artist. There are some rumors about who they will be. I can't actually say those yet because they haven't all been 100% confirmed, but there's some pretty big names that are going to be playing. So, come out, get a ticket. What, $15 or something like that. There's group sales going on right now. If you got parties or 6 or more, you will be potted and social distanced around the stadium as of right now. But you can go see a concert. You go see a great rugby match and then listen to an amazing concert for nothing. So that's pretty important. And then, of course, the Karbach Brewing Company got official beer sponsor. There's more official sponsorship names coming out all the time.
Wait. Aren't they from Houston?
They are from
Isn't
Houston.
that a Houston brink?
It is.
Grant,
So
you just let them steal them.
Houston has 86 craft breweries, and Karbach isn't even the 5th oldest one.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? So Karbach is technically a craft brewery. They are owned by Anheuser-Busch, which is actually more of an exciting thing. Here's people fought about this on social media, and here is my take. And if you have your own take, good for you. This is my take as a business owner. I said, go find me a local Austin brewery that has survived COVID well and has enough liquid capital to sponsor a professional sports organization, and 2, is out in public enough to get that capital out to spend however many thousands of dollars to be an official sponsor. It's not like club rugby where they're giving away just a case of beer or something and a sign. I know, having worked in it in the past, like, there's got to be a money exchanged. So there's whatever it is. I don't know what that amount is, but I'm excited.
I will say this: to get the best Karbach beers, you're still going to have to come to Houston.
Yeah,
they only serve them at the bar.
I do know that there are some really good beers from Karbach, but
the FUN series are the best beers I've had. That are actually craft beers.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's exciting. I'm happy. I know that there's actually more announcements coming along for things that have been signed in partnerships and stuff, and I think that's great for Austin. It shows this is not your Austin Elite days. This is not your this is not the team it's not team your mama knew. Like, it's completely
3 years ago.
But 3 years seems like forever right now.
It does.
So again, this isn't the 0-16 team or anything like that. Like, these guys are there's a lot of good stuff, good marketing going on out there. And then my last thing, something completely unrelated to the AGs and what's going on. There is a big announcement that we're going to be having here for Texas Rugby Monthly, and something that we're doing. We talked about it at the beginning of the show, helping some of those rugby families that have been affected by adverse events here in Texas. I can't say too much more, but I do know please stay tuned because we'll post it on our Facebook page and on our social media, through the Austin Supporters Group in Dallas and Houston. But there's a big event coming up and a big thing coming up that we're partnering with the with the Rugby Shop, as an official partner, that we'll be announcing very shortly, and it's going to be a good thing, and hopefully we'll be, being able to supply some aid to those families who have been affected. That's about as far as I can go without making the full official announcement. But no, I'm really excited about it. It's something that I pitched to.
We'll announce it this next month.
The next month, right? But yeah, and I think it'll be good. I mean, we're talking. It'll probably be announced within the next week or so. We're just trying to finalize.
Hey, I think we need to circle back to Dallas and invite our next guest in.
Yeah. Do you want to take a quick break so you can go make sure your kid didn't get murdered?
No, I think we're good. There's no more screaming as far as I can tell. So they're either dead or they're okay.
That sounds good. Well, Rick, since you are the Dallas guy, I will let you go ahead and give the segue, and then we'll bring on our next guest. Is our next? I don't even know if our next guest is ready. Is our next guest ready?
I think he's ready.
I think he's ready.
He was born ready. So Fil Keuppens, he's been with the Dallas Reds for a long time. His pickle juice is world renowned, and we'd like to welcome Philip, or Flip as some may know him, to Texas Rugby Monthly. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Coming at you live from the Pickle Palace in Mesquite, Texas. It's
man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really tough life because you can see we got a bunch of free beer somebody sent us. I heard you guys talking about beer a second ago. We actually just inked a partnership with what has in the last month become the #1 selling craft beer at HEB. And Grant, you'll like hearing this. The guy who runs the company, Freetail Brewing down in San Antonio, is an old prop, Bill Sisian. His nickname was, I think he was either 4x4 or 5x4, because I think the story was they had a 4x4. What's that?
He's 5x4 because 4x4 was taken.
Exactly right. So shameless plug. Go buy this beer for.
Oh, it's pickle beer. Oh man, that's even better.
It looked like
that's awesome.
Pickle Rick, right?
No, that was our seltzer. That was a different thing. Anyway, but we're not here to talk about that. I appreciate you guys having me on.
That's okay. You can shamelessly plug thing. We do it all. We do it all the time.
We've got no problems.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for somebody to ask me, like the podcast I was on recently, how painful it is to be on a podcast talking rugby while wearing green. So.
Oh man.
Right. Yeah, it was.
So Phil, we brought you on to talk about not so much your pickle juice experience, but your experience as the director of rugby for our rugby club here in Texas, and you're the DOR for Dallas Reds, right?
I am.
And so in that, you've had an interesting, like every DOR and club leader, you've had an interesting set of challenges this year as you keep players invested in the game, invested in your club, and then as well as preparing to have a season when you were told you could after having to wait so long. So kind of curious, what are some things that you're doing at Dallas Reds, that the Dallas Reds are doing to maintain that connection with their players and make sure they're still engaged in this time of, distancing that we don't really have a whole lot of choice in.
Right. Yeah. So the challenge for us, particularly being, an amateur organization, but one that tries to compete at the highest amateur levels. And we have players that have MLR aspirations, players that have played professionally previously. So we take that relationship and responsibility very seriously. I think, we're about a week removed from being a year removed from rugby. And we wanted to make sure from day one, we were really focused on keeping our players engaged. That was a conversation we had on our executive calls. constantly and ongoing. When we weren't able to do anything, we were trying to think of different ways to keep our players engaged, from Zoom happy hours to sort of virtual activities, challenges, things like that. Keeping the players on our four men's teams, our women's team, and our youth team involved in the club. And I think one of the things we really focused on was keeping them engaged with our brand, right? So we knew that we couldn't participate in the thing that we're designed to do, which is play rugby, but we were very actively involved in helping people use our community within our organization to address the sort of challenges that come, the mental health challenges that come with being isolated in your house and not being able to do the things that the uncertainty and all that stuff. So we've been really, really lucky. We took a pretty aggressive but we feel safe return to play approach. So the minute we were allowed to do fitness, we got off the virtual fitness stuff. We were sending out virtual fitness activities that people would do. We were doing challenges that people could do in isolation. And then, when we were able to get back to the field and do socially distant fitness, we did. It's all obviously opt-in because we wanted our players and members to feel like they weren't being pressured into anything, that they were coming to something that they felt comfortable in doing so. And we've been ramping up accordingly and taking very extensive COVID measures. We're very lucky to have a large staff, including a management staff of 4 non-coaching, non-playing managers that essentially became kind of COVID czars at practice. So we're doing temperature checks before facility entry. We're sanitizing all of our equipment every 15 minutes. We were keeping players through discrete groups so that if there was a high-risk environment, we could shut down a group of 10 players without having to shut the whole thing down. And we feel that worked pretty well. Since we resumed training, we've had 2 cases come to our team, none of which were traced back to being contracted at any rugby activities, and more importantly, it didn't spread beyond those individuals who were exposed outside of the environment. So, it's a delicate balancing act, right? We want to keep folks engaged, but we also want to be safe about it, and we want them to feel safe about it.
Sounds like a successful strategy.
Yeah.
So, a couple of weeks ago, we were told that we could start scheduling matches. And I have to say, Phil, you stepped up as one of the most aggressive schedulers in the bunch. You and Adam Scheidler at the Huns. What's your strategy? I mean, what are some obstacles you've run into with scheduling matches, and what are some of the things you are doing or have done to get over and around those obstacles?
Yeah, I think the reason we were able to schedule so quickly is because, frankly, we've been working on contingency plans since probably October, and we try to put together what any return to rugby could potentially look like. So it was a lot of long nights with the executive committee, 3-hour calls to kind of say, okay, what's our approach, what's our directive, what's our intention, what's our strategy, and then reaching out to other historical opponents that to see what their plans were, right? So the challenges were A, seeing where their teams were, B, not really knowing how prepared we would be, C, not knowing what our numbers would look like. Are we going to be a 2-side organization that plays senior men's only? Are we going to be 4 men's sides, a women's side, and 3 youth sides, which we were pre-COVID? It's hard to really tell, and because our numbers of practice have gone from anywhere between 70 and 90 pre-COVID to about 40 to 50 now, for a multitude of reasons, not the least of which is we're not actively reaching out and telling people, hey, you have to come out. We're saying, hey, if you want to and you feel safe, come on out. So we're very much taking an opt-in approach. Obviously, we feel that it's a safe environment. We want our players to come out. So it's finding teams that are of the same mindset, teams that are ready to participate and and to participate in what we feel is an environment that is safe from a COVID perspective, and B, safe from a competitive preparation perspective.
So I've got a couple of questions. I'll first lead with a continuation of that on, there's been some touch rugby happening in the Dallas area, multiple clubs. Do you feel like that's been a good fill-in for the spring so far in terms of keeping players at least active? Do you have a formal gym set up that players are using? What are some other things that have been happening kind of behind the scenes to keep players ready for a season of whatever season we get?
Yeah, I think the touch stuff is great. It's organized by the Dallas Touch Group, separate from our organization, but a lot of players have been participating. Again, our approach has been we support players' decisions to participate in non-Reds organized activities that they feel are comfortable and safe doing, that we don't think will put their teammates at further risk. So, I think touch is a great way to keep a lot of these players engaged. We've had informal conversations about our concern about attrition, right? And at the senior level, it's one thing, but at the collegiate and age grade level, player attrition because of inability to lack of continuity is really, really scary. So we think that anything to engage players is great. We've been a lot more fitness focused at training than we probably would have been having had a normal season, because we were hoping to play in December, and then it became January, and then it became February, and then March. So we keep pushing our preseason preparations back, which means we stay in the fitness zone a little longer than we would have liked, and we've been actively avoiding contact because it's COVID, right? So, and not to mention that we've been adhering to the stages of rugby. So, but we are ramping up. We've been ramping up for a little while. We hope and feel that we're ready for the hit ups. We're simulating a match this weekend, and then we start games the following week.
Okay, I want to change gears a little bit. The Dallas Jackals announcing that they are not going to be competing in the 2021 season and will be moving to the 2022 season. But one of the biggest announcements before that occurred was the partnership that they would have with the Reds and the Quins. Can you speak a little bit more to that and what that was going to look like? What were those talks like?
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge honor to be considered to be a partner with the Jackals, and we're really looking forward to the opportunity to continue that relationship when they do return next season. Obviously disappointed that they were forced to delay their entry in the league. I'm sure it was a business decision. I obviously wasn't involved in those conversations, but it's been a very a fluid partnership. It's been conversations been open and frequent. Talk about getting players exposed. Now we didn't get to the point where that those theories and concepts were put into practice because of the COVID delays, and then obviously ultimately the Jackals not being able to participate. But it's amazing. My personal opinion, having seen various models around the country and various different iterations of MLR to club rugby relationships, I firmly believe that a relationship with established community teams is fantastic, especially being affiliated with one of those community teams. And I think it speaks to a level of trust and confidence that the MLR affiliate has in those organizations, right? Because if they didn't have some level of faith that we could contribute to the quality of their pipeline, they wouldn't be comfortable doing it. So it's an honor, and we really, really hope that we can continue that relationship going forward.
Yeah. Bill, one of my questions was kind of surrounding this. There's always been this kind of conversation, and we'll call it sometimes back and forth between, the D1 club scene and the MLR scene, and, like, oh, they're going to take our guys and they won't share them equally, whatever it may be. What are some of I guess, what's the positive that you saw in at least having that conversation with the Dallas Jackals to begin with, to say, here's what we want, here's what the goal is, overall, in order to build a better relationship between the club side and the professional side? Because I know that, we talk about places around the U.S. and different cities that have, an MLR team and a high-level D1 team. There's been some kind of butting of heads, if you will, for the most part. What did you guys do to at least, take some of those bridges that may have been burnt, or some of those arguments that may have happened, and try to come together and build something what would have started as something great here this coming season?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, people inherently resist change, right? And being able to embrace that, and also accept the fact that sometimes you don't control the entirety of the narrative. So we felt that we had to create a product that the Jackals had confidence in to partner with. It's our obligation to give them something that they believe will help them. Because at the end of the day, we're an amateur organization, albeit we put in a ton of work. We work really hard, but the viewpoints, the goals, the objectives are different, and the pathway to sustainability is a bit different. So the minute we knew there was an MLR team coming to Dallas, we knew we needed to figure out a way to add value to them. We went on a really aggressive infrastructure hunt, finding coaches. We were incredibly lucky to have a staff of 10 committed non-playing coaches and managers, which is a lot for any amateur organization. And we are very committed to developing players, helping those players achieve their goals, while simultaneously pursuing our collective team goal of being a very formidable competitor at the highest amateur level. So that was it. I mean, honestly, it was just a bunch of roll up the sleeves, hard work, give them something they want to work with.
Yeah.
So I know you talk about the value that you can provide to the Jackals. What value theoretically can a professional team, whether it's the Jackals or even Houston, Austin, local teams, what can they provide for Division I clubs, and specifically, thinking about the Reds? What are the things they can provide for you?
I mean, frankly, just by existing, it increases the destination factor of your city for rugby. It creates exposure. I think, the collegiate draft is a really fascinating tool that the MLR came up with to create a pathway, right? It creates this aspirational pathway for athletes. So I think just by virtue of the MLR existing and growing and being in our town, allows us to be a destination. So the pie gets bigger. More people are playing rugby. More people are finding a way to play rugby, even if they're not currently a rugby player. Just the exposure to rugby in the community is going to get more people involved, so that we benefit from those players. A lot of players that might not be on the short-term radar for the MLR could be on a 2, 3, 4 year plan. Some players that might have taken a more casual approach to rugby might buckle down and take their rugby a bit more serious that are in our pools. I've seen players, even that have been with our organization for years, sort of double down to their commitment to the game, to their fitness, to what it is. And I think our internally as a culture, we've kind of ramped up how we approach our preparedness and our sport and our club as a whole.
Yeah, that actually kind of dovetails into my next question. Obviously, with COVID, and you talked about attrition rate, and this isn't just in Texas. This is around the country. Is like, how do we, continue to move forward as a sport? How do we continue to grow the game? Is the hashtag we use. In your mind, what are you doing right now for the Reds to ensure continued growth? And then what are those like long-term goals that you have that are tied into continuing to bring in new people and mitigate, the large attrition rate, which some people are talking about that's happening right now in the rugby world, and especially here in the U.S.
Yeah, it's a great question and a complex answer, but in short,
I like asking those type of questions.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, between you three, I knew I wasn't gonna get any softballs. Like,
I mean, we can toss a couple softballs to you. Like,
I'll pass on that.
Nah.
I'm good. Grant rises me enough, and I don't need the hey, I had to hand you a softball thing every time I see you guys. But really, the answer really relates to brand building, and it's focusing on building the Dallas Rugby Football Club, or the Reds as most people know us, as a brand rather than a team, right? So it's creating ways for people to identify with our brand, to be active on social media. We made a significant capital investment in filming equipment to allow us to not only capture footage of individual players, but to capture footage of matches, match preparation, just things that we're doing so that we can continue to build that Dallas RFC brand, so that we're not dependent on saying, oh yeah, you should play for us because we're good at rugby. Because if we rest on those laurels, A, we don't stay good at rugby, and B, we don't have a fully encompassing approach to it. So we spend more time on building and preserving our culture and creating a positive environment. We have a strict, I'll kind of PG it, but a no jerk rule. That's very much a sweep the sheds mentality, lead through humble acts, and positive reinforcement amongst peers, and it seems to be working pretty well.
That's awesome. I mean, I think it's a good lesson for those around the country who are trying to build kind of those. You maybe have a D3 team or a D2 team, and you're trying to build into this larger organization, just like
or a university team.
Or a university. I mean, really, any team, and you said it right. It's all about brand building, right? How do you build the brand around whatever university you're trying to, a team you're trying to build, or whatever club team you're trying to build? There's got to be a little bit of brand building and a little bit of time that you spend on it to grow your team, grow your business, if you will. So I appreciate you saying that. Like, it wasn't a softball question, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, you're going to get, even if it's a softball question, you're going to get a Michelle Granger, Cat Osterman type softball
coach. Whizzing right at your head. That is a good women's fast foot softball reference right there. A few people will get that. Well, hey, Phil, we appreciate you coming on to the podcast, coming on the show. It's always great to connect with those around Texas who are doing well for the rugby community. Obviously, you are Pickle Juice. Again, it is your company. It's there. We'll throw it out. We'll throw a little at the bottom of the page or wherever, somewhere under yours, down there in the bottom left-hand corner, right-hand corner, depending on how you're looking at it. We'll make sure we send this up to your website. But if those in the Dallas area who don't know much about rugby, or if people just in general want to know more about Dallas Reds, where can they go to look up more information for you guys?
Yeah, DallasRugby.org. or we're pretty active on all social media, the Dallas Rugby Football Club, and we welcome all levels. I mean, we've been really fortunate that before COVID hit, we were fielding on the senior men's side D4, D3, D2, and D1. We're really committed to growing our women's program, our senior women's program. Our youth program is really, really taking off, and I want to shout out to Basilia Torres, who's really taken that bull by the horns and done an amazing job. And what's really, really great is that it's inner city focused.
Nice.
So we've got a bunch of great kids that some of them have some really, really great potential to do bigger things at the next level. Hopefully we'll see some college scholarships out of it. But most of these kids are not, without Basilia's really, really hard work, probably would never have been exposed to rugby, and we're really super proud of that. These are organic new players, so super excited to keep that stuff going. So
That's awesome.
yeah, if anybody's interested in the game, even if they just want to check us out, see what we're all about, hit us up. And really, guys, thank you for what you're doing to help continue to build awareness to the rugby community, not just for MLR levels, but to keep this chain moving and help prevent this attrition monster that we're fighting through COVID.
Yeah, I think that's probably, Grant and Rick will probably agree with me. The first couple episodes of this was like, hey, we're only going to talk MLR, but we didn't want to just be an MLR podcast. Like, there are plenty of those going around. Plenty of those. We wanted to focus mostly on
the thing we know best is Texas rugby, and so.
We do. Yeah, we do
anything Texas rugby.
We do what we can. We keep on going. We keep on keeping on. Even the harsh winter weather will not dismay us as we continue to push back a week for this. Grant, Rick, another episode in the books. Philip, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Guys, we are T-minus 2 weeks until Major League Rugby happens. And, of course, then we also have club rugby happening, which is great, too. It's really happening. It's like Christmas, right? Like we're excited. Like
it is.
Yeah, and we get to play the curtain raiser for the Seattle game.
Scrummas.
What's that?
The first week of March is now Scrummas.
Scrummas.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Check out the
like
Scrummas gear. Oh, man. See, there we go. See, now you give me an idea of having Grant's big beard as Santa Claus calling. Welcome, Merry Scrummas to everybody. There we go. Check us out on the Rugby
It'll
Shop.
Be on a shirt next week.
It's on a T-shirt next week. Great in space. Hey, thanks for joining. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you want to find out more about what's going on with us, we are on Facebook right now. We don't have an Instagram or Twitter because, well, the two of us have a lot of other stuff going on in our lives, and we just can't do it. So if you want to come and run social media for Texas Rugby Monthly, by all means, we welcome you with open arms.
Please.
Please do it. But if you want to find out more stuff, we do have a YouTube page, Texas Rugby Monthly. If you're listening, if you're watching us, you can find us on all the different locations where you get your favorite podcasts. And then Facebook, we do have a Facebook page because, we're so high tech. Texas Rugby Monthly. Check us out. Guys, always a pleasure. This is the February episode filmed in March for Grant Cole and Rick Collins. Thanks again, Phil, for joining us. We appreciate it. Pickle Juice Sports. I'll plug it again for him since he won't do it. We appreciate it. I'm Dustin Zare. Take it easy, guys. We'll see you soon.